Hello, everybody. This is Mr. Miller here, and I'm joined with Assistant Asia Quest's Assistant Curator Laura McLaughlin. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
So, I wanted to start out by giving you a chance to introduce yourself and talk to us a little bit about what you do at the zoo. So, can you tell us what is an assistant curator?
So, assistant curator is the assistant to the curator. That's just a joke. I oversee the whole region. Um, I oversee the animals and I oversee the keepers. You could call me like a keeper of the keepers. Um, I make sure that they're doing proper nutrition, training, husbandry, enrichment, exhibit maintenance. And then I oversee animal moves, animal introductions, anything that's happening with the animals in here, I have my hand in it. And I'm typically making some of the big decisions with them.
Fair enough. So, the answer is all of the things. It sounds like you're kind of the end all be all for the Asia section then.
Well, there's somebody above me, but yeah.
Fair enough. So, okay. Um, what does that look like on a day to day basis? What is your day like as an assistant curator?
Every day varies. I start the day just basically running through what we're doing in the department. We have a morning meeting. We go over new things, changes. Right now is a really busy time in our department. We just we had a baby langur born, which is a monkey. So we have some things going on there. We have an elephant that has a sore on her chin that we have to deal with. We have some new birds in our walk-through aviary. We're monitoring that. We have a red panda who's not feeling well. We have tigers who we're trying to breed and setting up for that. Same thing with red pandas. So we're putting things into motion. Training this red panda for ultrasounds so that we can determine if she's pregnant and then where we're going from there. I go through the birth management plans for these species. So day to day, you start your morning with your meeting and what you have to go through, and there's a lot of emails that go along with it. There's a lot of paperwork that follows, but there's just a lot of hands-on, you've got to be there type of work. So I started today. I touched base with all my keepers. I came in a little bit later than everybody else today because I was going to be here so late tonight. And then I went and I medicated a pony, and I saw some tigers, and then I went and I looked at some birds, and then I checked out what was next. Oh, the red pandas. So that's what I. And then I did a lot of work on the computer as we have another keeper is putting together a presentation for Thursday, and I was looking through her paper and making sure it was. She wanted me to proofread it, so I've been doing that.
So I've just put up on the screen some of the pictures you sent me about the red panda ultrasound trainings.
Yes, those are pictures from Kia. In 2014, she had 3 panda cubs, and our easiest way to determine if they're pregnant is through ultrasound. They're delayed implanters, so you don't really know when their babies are going to be born. So we have to look. We see the babies on the screen, and then the vet or the vet tech in this case can tell us about how solid those bones are, how big the baby is, when we can start to really expect the babies to come. Because then once that happens, we start a watch. I set up a keeper watch to watch them through the night so that when she does go into labor, we know we're there and we're watching, making sure that everything goes well, that she's not having any trouble, that she's taking care of the baby. Some mothers don't take care of babies. Sometimes first-time moms, they may not know what they're doing. They may take care of one baby and not the other, or this way we can make sure they're nursing, she's grooming them, she looks healthy, and they look good too. So, and then we will continue to watch them for the next week or so, just to make sure that everybody's doing well.
And I wanted to kind of circle back because you said you had an elephant with a sore on its chin.
Yes.
Can I ask you how big those elephants are?
Hank is 15,000 pounds. He is the biggest elephant in North America.
I
Actually,
feel a
his brother is
little.
a bit heavier, but he was the biggest elephant in North America. Hank could lose about 1,000 pounds, so he's a little overweight. But he's the biggest elephant in North America that I know of right now. And then it goes down from there. We have Connie, who weighs about 9,000 pounds. Phoebe weighs 7,000 pounds. Rudy weighs 8,000 pounds, and Sunny weighs about 7,000 pounds, and Bika weighs 6,500 pounds. So they weigh a lot, and they eat a lot. So
That, it sounds like it. So when you have an animal that big and they've got an injury like on their face, I I am I mean, a little bigger than a regular adult male, I guess. But if I get a sore on my face, I don't want anyone going near it. How do you get near to an elephant or an animal that large when when they're already not feeling good?
We do that like any dangerous animal. They're trained for this type of thing. The elephants are trained to come up to the bars to present different parts of their body. Um, that way we're able to help them with these things. We do the same things with tigers and lions, and we've had to give eye drops, we've had to medicate paws, we've had to, this is big cats I'm talking now. And elephants, yeah, we work on their feet. The sore's on the bottom of her chin, they can reach it when she just comes up there. Uh, so that it's just all training. Everything we do with these animals is technically training. You're training them
Fair.
that what they do will elicit a response from us, and they're learning to expect what that is.
And probably if they hurt and then you help them feel a little better, then that probably is a pretty good reinforcement then to continue to trust you on that.
Elephants have that intelligence. Yes, they know
Uh,
when you're trying to help.
I will tell you that it may be that rabbits do, but my rabbit definitely does not. My rabbit has no idea that we're trying to keep it alive sometimes. So, um,
Mine doesn't.
uh, what I have come down and I've seen some of the training that's been done through some of the events. Some of the animals have been brought to my wife's school at Ohio Wesleyan, and they did um, some exhibits, and we've seen the shows, and it's all very impressive. How can you find how do you find the reinforcer that helps an animal feel comfortable with you and take commands? And is it something where let's say that you're dealing with elephants as an example. If you find one for, did you say Rudy was one, the 8,000
Rudy's,
pound?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you find a reinforcer for Rudy, is that going to be the same for Hank or another elephant?
Typically, yes, with the elephants. Not all animals, though. The monkeys different. Everybody likes their own thing. Bats, especially, they're different. They like it. Some prefer grapes, some prefer melon. Nobody prefers apple. You just have that.
Fair enough.
But the elephants, they seem to be fine with the reinforcement. I mean, when Rudy and Sunny came to us, they were getting like cookies, and we started with animal biscuits instead.
Fair enough.
I know. Yes.
I will
And
also do
but they,
tricks for cookies, so I
I
get it.
know, right?
Yeah.
It tends to be when you're doing medications, that's when you really find that they're a little more particular. Every elephant seems to have wanted their medicine a different way. When I started in pachyderms, we would put pills in little Milky Way bars. And then we put pills in bananas, and you put pills in bread, you put pills with marshmallows and molasses and anything to make it go down. It just depends on the animal and what they will take. So,
Fair enough.
red pandas also differ on their treats. You have a red panda that'll do whatever you want for a blueberry, another one that won't touch blueberry but loves grapes. So,
So, do animals at the zoo build relationships with a particular keeper, or do they build relationships with the whole squad of keepers? How does that work? Do you have certain zookeepers that work specifically with the elephants, and others who work with the uh, the monkeys and these sorts of exhibits, or does everybody just kind of take what needs to be done?
so with the elephants, we have 4 keepers that work only with elephants. That's all they do. They take care of the elephants, and that's their day. Elephants require a lot of work, and they're very big, and they get bathed and exercised and all sorts of fun things. The other areas, we do have 1 or 2 keepers that tend to be a little more primary over them. We have somebody that does like our red pandas and our tigers, and you'll see her in some of these pictures. And then we have somebody else who really focuses on monkeys and bats. But all the keepers over in the Asia Quest side are trained to do everything over here. So, yeah, here's a plethora of them.
I'm going to bring up a couple of pictures of the bats.
Bat training, yeah.
So, so we've got a stick here. What are we training the bats to do?
Target. Well, actually, I was going to point to the screen. They're get them to come down on a scale platform. We have a scale that has a platform that hangs from it because we can't pick them up and set them on the scale like we do anything else because they hang. So we have a scale that hangs, and we're trying to get them to come down on it on their own. So that's what they're working on. They're trained to target their nose to touch that stick. And bats are so smart. because I trained this behavior back in 2007. And I was just one day went out and I thought, I'm going to train the bats. And I went out there and I had my clicker and I had my stick and I had some fruit and I was working with the one bat, and a bat came from the back of the group. He had been watching. He's like, hey, I can touch that stick. Came up, touched the stick, and got the fruit. So they very much learn from watching. Bats and monkeys, all of them, elephants. There's a fair amount of mimicry. They figure things out that way.
And I'm going to swap it over to where they're painting a little bit. Can you tell us a little bit about the animals painting? Because
So the animals paint, a lot of animals at the zoo paint, and we sell those paintings to raise money so we can buy animal enrichment toys. So enrichment is big items that they play with that they can that make their day more fun. Every animal has an enrichment calendar. They get at least one new item a day, one item a day. Some of your more I don't know what you call them. Our bears get enriched 3 times a day because we're just trying to keep them busy. They tend to, if they're not busy, then they might pace in front of the door. They might decide that they want to tear down something. So that's a big list of that actually came from the Cheyenne Mountain Zoo when we took his tiger there in October, and that was their big pile of enrichment outside the door. So that was all for their carnivores. And so you have your big barrels and your drums and your tires and boomer balls. And they also like things like scents, feathers. We use peanut butter, avocado paste, just anything new and different. Make it different for them.
So we were talking earlier about the ultrasounds for the red pandas, and I had a student ask because there've been, especially if you're following the Facebook page for the Columbus Zoo, which my wife is constantly informing me of, there have been a lot of posts about animal births in the last, because we had Nora last year, and
Yes.
then there are 3 cubs this year, but it's not just the polar bears this year that they've been advertising or talking about. There have been several other animals who are having notable offspring.
Mm-hmm.
So what the student wanted to know is this normal? Is it normal that there are a lot of newborn animals this year? Is it more than usual, less than usual? Is this about normal?
I think it's just right about normal. Last year we bred both female polar bears last year as well, and we only had 1 cub that survived. And that was Nora, who of course everybody knows. But all our breeding, it's not like we just say, hey, let's make some baby animals. There is a governing unit to that. The Species Survival Plan has all the genetics of all the animals that are in zoos, and AZA accredited zoos, I should say. Well, actually all zoos. And they go through and they decide what genetics should be matched up with what genetics in order to make our population sustainable.
Can you tell me a little bit about what makes a population sustainable for our students? Can you tell me what would make a population not sustainable? Maybe that would be easier.
Well, the small gene pool. Like, for example, we have Langer monkeys that just had a baby. And there's only 4 institutions in the entire U.S. that hold these monkeys. The individual size is like 100 and some monkeys. You go to another group of monkeys, they might have 500 individuals in there. There's a way more genetics, a lot more diversity. It's kind of like, if you want your community to thrive, you need more people and different people. You can't have just the same family reproduce forever. You're not going to grow your town that way. So that's what we're trying to do.
I totally backed you into a corner with that question. Admirably handled. Thank you. We've heard a little bit about what you do at the zoo and kind of everything that falls under your umbrella. Could you tell us a little bit more about if somebody wants to be a zookeeper, like one of the 4 who works with the elephants? What should they start doing when they're in high school? What should they do as soon as they leave high school? Can you tell us a little bit about what you look for when you're hiring a zookeeper?
When we're hiring a zookeeper, we look for a lot of animal experience. Exotic animal experience. When we're hiring interns and seasonals, because, it's just really, we want everybody to have an experience. So we're looking for somebody that has some sort of animal experience, that can learn, somebody that seems that they're going to be able to keep up with the pace and got a good head on their shoulders and they're going to be safe. We're not expecting too much from the interns. There are a lot of interns. It's a very competitive program. But for seasonals, that's where you typically pull from your intern pool. You go for those people that were motivated. They were proactive about finding things to do. They always came to you if they needed something more to do. Then nobody's just standing around waiting to be told. This is the things that are very important in the zookeeping world. And then when you go into your full-time employees, you're looking for not only somebody who has good animal experience. You're looking for somebody who can get along with others. You're looking for somebody who knows how to talk to people. You're looking for people that are responsible. Animal experience is huge. And the animals that you've worked with and the things that you've done are very, very important. But they kind of want a whole package. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you were wanting to become a zookeeper, could you volunteer at the zoo before?
So you can start as a zoo aide at age 16, and that is also, excuse me, another competitive program here. But you come here and you work as a volunteer at the zoo in various things. We have some that will come and they just help clean up our area a little bit. They don't do anything with the animals, but they get to work around an animal area, which is kind of a big deal, honestly. Not just anybody gets to do it. And then when you get into high school, the Delaware Career Center has zoo school, so for juniors and seniors. And they come and they do projects, and they, when they're seniors, they come and intern in our areas. We have 2 that go to pachyderms on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 2 hours, and 2 that come to Asia Quest on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for 2 hours. So they get to come and work in the region for a little bit, and they put together they do a lot of work. They do a research project, and they get to learn a lot about the zoo world. That's what you can do in high school. You can also come and work as a seasonal employee. I started in my first day, I worked in the catering kitchen, and then I worked in the parking booth, and I worked at the front gate, and I worked at the food stands, and I also sold pony ride tickets. And that's how, yeah. And then I worked in the children's zoo barn, and then I went to pachyderms, and I never left. But the thing is that as long as you don't want it all. You don't want to have no animal experience and then come here and work as a seasonal and expect great things to happen. But if you come to the zoo and you're a good employee and you put that interest out there, and good things can happen from that. I'm not saying that's a guaranteed, but nothing's going to go bad by working here as a seasonal employee and having your name out there as a good employee who wants to go off in the animal field. But other than that, volunteering at the Delaware Humane Society, that's a good one. We have the Ohio Wildlife Center right here by the zoo. A lot of experience that you can get there. They rehabilitate a lot of animals. If you aren't aware of the Ohio Wildlife Center, if you were to see oh good heavens, a hurt goose, you would probably call them in Delaware County and take it to them. So.
I want to put up a photo here because I didn't do it before, of Hank.
Yes.
Hank's a big guy.
He's a big guy. He's getting some exercise there, getting that hay. I took that picture because I'd never seen him climb, so it was exciting.
What is a hay net? Is it literally just a net of hay?
It is a net of hay, but it is up high because elephants, when they eat, normally would be pulling from the trees up high, not off the ground. So, and also, elephants like to eat. But normally they have to work harder, walk further to get their food. So by having these hay nets, they have to work a little bit harder. They don't ingest as much. And Hank has lost some weight through this program. And it also is enriching for them. It works on their trunk flexibility and strength. And it's all around good.
So making a little bit more like their original habitat, giving them some more of those motions and those. Okay, yeah. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. And also on this set of pictures, there's a sloth bear. Is this the same thing as a sun bear?
No, sloth bear is different. Sloth bear is, they're just different. The sun bears are no longer here on view. So we got the sloth bear. I had mentioned the species survival plan before. Mm-hmm. So what they had decided is that we are no longer going to be breeding the sun bears. We aren't sustainable. We're not having success. Europe is, though. Okay. So we're focusing on sloth bears. So we have this handsome young bear. His name is Reindeer. He's young. He's full of life and energy. He's climbed to the top of the tree. No bear's been there before, so that was exciting. And we're going to pair him with a female. and add to the species that way.
Uh,
So they're much bigger. They weigh about 150 pounds more than the sun bear. They're a little more cold tolerant as well. The sun bears are more of a tropical bear. This guy can go out in below freezing
oh,
weather for short periods.
so when you see a bear on top of a tree like that, do you ever stop and go, "Oh, we need to rethink our enclosure"? Uh,
Oh, we did a good job checking that out beforehand because that was everybody's fear. Is that anytime you put a new animal out there, we walk the walls, we measure the walls, we check all the barriers and the fencing, and we have a lot of people watching on that first day.
so that's probably a big deal getting an animal in for the first time. When you have them in, when you first introduce them to an enclosure, I'm trying to think of a way of phrasing this so I ask the question I want to ask. When you first introduce an animal to an enclosure, do you do that while the zoo's open? Do you tend to do it while the zoo is closed? What?
We
How
do
does
it
that
before
work?
it's open, and if it's a dangerous animal, we have um, people standing around that can help us if they get out. The dart guns are loaded. We typically have paintball guns there too. Security is available if we need them. So
Now, sloth. That is how big is that bear?
he's about 250 pounds.
Okay, I feel worse about my climbing abilities now. Uh, how do they compare to black bears?
Um, they'd be about the same size when they're full grown.
Okay,
Black bears might be a little bit bigger.
fair enough. So kind of a similar uh,
Hmm.
style of animal, but obviously, if it's in the Asia quest, probably not native to North America. Then,
Yeah.
uh, we had talked a little bit about volunteering at the zoo. Uh, if you are wanting to learn more, but what does the zoo do as far as classes, as far as outreach? Because I know I've seen you come into colleges, and I've seen you out and about in the world. Not you, but the Columbus Zoo coming out to kind of inform the public about what's going on and raise awareness. Can you tell me a little bit about how the projects form, what sort of projects are out there?
Well, our education department has a lot of stuff for young children. Starts as soon as they're potty trained and it goes up through, I think, elementary school. And then we have homeschooling opportunities, homeschool classes. But for adults, that is something new that we are just now starting to work on, trying to incorporate the older generations and not so much more of the retirees and then anybody in between. We do have things like the hoof it walks where you can come and you can walk around the zoo and you will learn whatever health benefit you're working on that day, how it applies animal wise. Like if it's cardiovascular, we'd be like telling you the silverback gorillas have a lot of heart issues. That's why they're trained for ultrasound. That's why we do this and that. So that's what we do. Now the actual animal outreach, they're typically programmed. So your school would call and say, hey, come, and like every year for Bowling for Rhinos, they come in, they bring their animals. And then of course, there's always the opportunity to learn something. We have the Animal Encounters Village and we have the Animals on Safari right here at the zoo. And you can come and you can watch a show. And when you're done, you can ask them any question you want to. And you can learn as much as you want to through that.
Uh, Wonderful. Um, well, I had a student, and this may not be your area of expertise, so I apologize for that. Um, the student asked, "What is the most venomous snake in Asia?"
It's a cobra. The king cobra comes from Asia. It
Well, that seems like
is
cheating.
one of the most venomous animals.
The king
I
cobra.
know.
What parts of Do you know what parts of Asia it's native to?
um, let's see. It was the Philippines and Malaysia and Thailand. I want to say. I don't know for sure.
That's good. I did not prep that question, so I had no idea if I, if that was fair game to ask. Um,
Like three types of vipers listed, and the king cobra was the first one, and it is also the largest cobra, longest, 5.5 feet long.
oh, so like a human sized, but human
Yeah,
length. Yeah, that's terrifying. That's
I
utterly
know.
terrifying. Fair enough. Do you? I know that there's a reptile house
Yes.
uh, Do you have any cobras at the Columbus Zoo?
Yes, we do. We have king cobra.
And do you know the name of it?
I do not.
Does it have a name? I don't. I
They
assume.
typically don't name their animals. They
Okay.
have a we have a large reticulated python. Her name is Hannah. She's in our area. They have another. I can't remember what kind of snake he was, but his name is Samuel. And I don't think most of them have names.
Oh, well, so we see where the love is. It's elephants
Yeah.
and tigers, and way down
They name
here are the snakes that can
flamingo.
kill you, apparently. Way less love
Yes.
for those. Um, so we have been, uh, I think as a society, we've been a little bit more understanding of kind of invasive species, of when, when we're losing species we really need. Honeybees have done a good job raising awareness for that sort of thing. Um, what sort of invasive species come from Asia? Are there things that we have that maybe are not adapting well to North America?
The only thing I can think of would be the Japanese beetle. They've kind of invaded a little bit.
And what are those? Can you tell us a little bit about what a Japanese beetle is?
I cannot.
Okay, sorry, I didn't. You said it with such poise and grace. I just assumed you were
I
ready.
know.
You're just loaded with that. Um, so
No.
um, now, to put you on a spot and to make all the other animals mad at you, do you have a favorite animal?
I don't know that I have a favorite species. I have a favorite everything, I feel like. My
Fair enough.
favorite elephant is Phoebe. My favorite tiger is Arissa. Um,
Why is Arissa the best?
tigers, when Arissa and her sister arrived at our zoo, when we opened their new exhibit in
Hmm.
2006, they came with two other tigers that were very, very friendly, and everybody loved because they were so friendly. Arissa makes you earn her affection. And I like that about her because I know that when tigers have a chuff, which is a friendly greeting. When she chuffs at you, you've earned it. It's not because she chuffs at everybody. It's because she knows who you are and she knows that you are a part of her world. And so that's why she's just really cool.
Yeah, I do have a thing where if a person or an animal doesn't like most people, but they like me, I immediately like them more. I
I
I
kind of
appreciate being somebody's favorite. That immediately. So any
Mhm.
student out there who's listening to this, if you're worried about my grade, tell me I'm your favorite teacher, and then I'll be so much more inclined to really work with you and help you. Uh, okay, so we had Phoebe for the elephant.
Mhm.
We had Arissa for the
A
tiger.
risk tiger. Asali's my favorite lioness.
Asali.
And
That
a risk.
is. That sounds like a lion. It feels like that could be nothing but a lion.
Yes. Yes. So
So no love for Chubby Hank, huh?
I love them all,
Okay.
but I have my favorite.
Um, so, uh, are there any? I get. Let me try to figure out how I want to say this. There would be some paths to working at the zoo that might go through education. There might be some that would go more through experience. You said that you've gotten to where you are, working from the ground up.
Yes.
Um, so is it possible to be a curator at the Columbus Zoo without going to college?
No.
So
No.
what
It's
sort
not
of thing
possible
would
to be
you
a keeper
study?
at the zoo without going to college.
What sort of thing would you study? What would be the programs you would look at?
Biology, zoology, animal science, any of those would work.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Um, do you find that um, that people who work with you, who volunteer, who do things like come in and run stand, some of the more entry level positions,
Mhm.
do you find that those people are often looking to become permanent members of the field, or maybe they aren't originally, but then they kind of turn out that way once they've been working with you guys?
I think only very few. Now that we have the internship program, because a lot of them start as interns now and then hope for that seasonal position. A lot of our interns also, though, are pre-vets. So they just want for their resume, really, the internship. You can do 2 internships here at the zoo, and then after that, yeah, um, you know, you can work in another. It's good if you're a good intern, and we just don't have a spot for you working as a seasonal in another realm of the zoo, grounds, food service, what have you. When we have a seasonal opening, we might come look for you.
So students should volunteer when those openings exist. If they wanted to be a curator, if they wanted to be a zookeeper, if they wanted to follow this path in life, it sounds like volunteer when you can, and then it sounds like go into a field related to the animals, biology, zoology, animal science, and then look for one of these positions, these internships, to get your leg in the door.
Yep. And
Is
there's other internships too. I mean, because you can intern at the wilds, you can go to other zoos, and there's 5 zoos in Ohio, so you can work at another zoo, and then um, it's a gamble to leave the Columbus Zoo and to go to work somewhere else, and then try to come back as a full-time keeper. But it has been done, and it can be done. It's just you have to let them know that you're a good keeper while you're here.
fair enough. So I'm guessing that's a pretty similar path, whether you're at the Columbus Zoo, whether you're in Kansas City. If one of our students happens to move halfway through their junior year and find themselves out west somewhere, that's a pretty similar path, would you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we've talked a little bit about how you get there in life. We put you on the spot for your favorite animals and about Japanese beetles. Uh, we've talked a little bit about the babies that we've had this year, and the courses and the volunteer work that you can do. Um, I'm trying to think if there was anything else. I'm really worried that I'm going to miss a student's question. Um, I, I think kind of the generic question that I got asked a lot was, is it something that's really hard to do? And I think I might add something to that, which is it something that's fulfilling to do?
It is fulfilling to do it. I love my job. I Everybody complains about going to work on Monday. I don't. I enjoy my job. I look forward to coming into work. I enjoy getting to see what the day is going to hold. They'll tell you nobody enters the zookeeping to become rich, though. So if that's your goal, don't do it. But I think we're some of the happiest people you'll find because we really do enjoy our job. My mom has said that I'm the only person that would win the lottery and still go to work the next day. And that's true. I would. At least till they could find a replacement. But I enjoy my job.
And then you go back to volunteering, right? You
Yes,
just
you
you just get
volunteer.
to sleep in a little later when you want to. Fair enough. No, that is, and for our students, uh, I am in my 30s, and I still have no idea what I want to do when I grow up. Right? Like that's like if you're sitting there and you are 13 or 14 and you're going, that sounds really neat. I don't know what I want to do when I grow up. That's still going out and volunteering at a zoo, even if you decide that life isn't for you. Getting that experience of I was there all the time, having a good recommendation, someone who can say they showed up, they listened to direction very well, they were supportive and of the people and the animals, or one or the other, depending on what direction you work. Um, as long as you go in and do a good job, you're not going to hurt yourself for any position that you want to get into. So always, take those situations, even if you realize that that's maybe not what you want to do with your life. Whenever you are in a place where you are doing these entry level positions, that is a really good place uh, to build contacts who can vouch for you, that says this is a hard worker, and there is no job where someone the first thing they're going to ask isn't going to be, are they on time, do they do a good job, are they kind to the people around them. Those will always be the first 3 things you'll be asked when we walk into a teaching evaluation. The first things they'll ask is, do you show up on time every day, are you kind to the people around you, do you work hard. So um, I want to thank you so much for coming to talk with us, especially after work, on your free time, on the weekend. You are so wonderful for doing that.
I'm
Um,
happy to do it. I love to talk about this place. I mean, I love my job.
so, as we may find that students have additional questions that roll in later. Is it okay if can I send you those questions?
Yeah, of
Um,
course.
okay. So if you want to see Laura and the tigers and the elephants, not Hank because she doesn't like that one as much, but the rest of them, Phoebe, the Columbus Zoo. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
This is Mr. Miller signing off. Everybody, have a wonderful rest of your weekend.